My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, and I'm a stock broker with Affordable Homes and Apartments. I'm licensed to preach and I'm ordained as a minister, and I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. I'm going to basis of my book, Tenants' Rights. Tenants' Rights versus Landlords Win in Housing Court. And I have been talking to you the last few weeks about forming a tenants association. Yeah, this book talks basically to tenants associations or any tenant who is living in a rundown building who does not have heat, hot water, lack of repairs, pretty much. If your landlord is not making any repairs, or perhaps maybe you lost your landlord. This is basically a book for you to help you so that you can get the repairs done that you need to get in your building and perhaps take over the management of your own building that you live in and purchase the building from the city via purchase money mortgage and own the building that you live in as a low-income co-op. Okay, and then we're going to, or even it depends on whether it's a multiple dwelling, whether you have 5 units or more, or whether it's a building that's a single-family house. And it would depend on the type of ownership that you would be eligible for. You can purchase it as a single family if you're eligible from the city, or if it's a 2-unit, you can purchase the whole house, and then you would be the landlord and you can rent out the other unit. If it's a 3 or 4 family, same thing. But if it's an apartment building with 5 units or more, which is considered commercial, then perhaps you can take over the building and own the building, manage your own building, bring your building up to code compliance, and then manage your building, and then now you and your family can live safe and sound. Basically, if you're living in any kind of condition that's a danger to your life, health, or safety, or your family's life, health, or safety, it's considered a violation. And as I talk to you about, there are several classes of violations. But today we're going to pick up, and you can always get a copy of this book, Tenants' Rights versus Landlords Win in Housing Court. You can get a copy of this book on Lulu.com, and I have a website that I'm working on that you will be able to purchase from my website. Okay. And again, thank you for joining me today. Now today we're going to pick up where we left off on. We're going to be talking about, well, just to reiterate what we've been talking about briefly, the reasons that you need to form a tenants association. And again, this list is not inclusive. However, would be to obtain heat and hot water, to remove the landlord from poor management, to fix your building, okay, to bring your building up to code compliance so that the conditions will no longer be a danger to you or your family's life, health, or safety. Okay, now when you form a tenants association, you can always visit my YouTube address, by the way, excuse me, at Affordable Homes and Apartments, and you can go over these videos and look through these videos if you'd like to. The videos pretty much explains it, but if you want the book, because I have sample forms in here, and I go into detail in terms of what you need to do to, form the tenants association and a lot of different steps that are involved in forming a tenants association and maintaining a tenants association, and then of course getting the tenants cooperation so that you can run the tenants association effectively and efficiently. Now, when forming a tenants association, as I had mentioned, there is the president, the vice president, the treasurer, the assistant treasurer, and the secretary, and perhaps assistant secretary. Okay, the president runs the association, but it has to be, and I would say that you can elect to have all parties that are the officers of the tenants association agree on the implementation or whatever it is that you plan on going through with, and have it a rule so that the president, all members, all officers of the tenants association will have to approve the law or whatever the ruling or whatever it is that you decide to go forward with. Okay. Now there are articles of association that can be adopted. I mean, this is a business. You have to realize this is definitely a business that you would be embarking upon. That's why you probably would qualify for legal aid to help you, and definitely the city will be involved because it's particularly the city's interest. They're very interested in keeping this building and bringing it up to code compliance. So you would have yourself as the officers, you involve the city because certain municipalities offer this particular course, which I'm going to talk to you about. And when you get articles of association, now in a city-owned building or even a privately owned building, you should adopt what is called articles of association. Now the articles of association is a document that contains the purpose of the company as well as the duties and responsibilities of all its members, which will be defined and recorded clearly. It is an important document which needs to be filed with the registrar of companies, if at all possible. Your lawyer will be able to advise you legally. Now, the terms of the Articles of Association of a company or Articles of an Incorporation of an American or Canadian company are often simply referred to as articles, okay, and are often capitalized as an abbreviation for the full term. Okay, the Articles of Incorporation, sometimes also referred to as Certificate of Incorporation or a corporate charter, act as a charter to establish the existence of a corporation in the United States and Canada and are filed with the Secretary of State or other company registrar. The article can cover a medley of topics, not all of which is required in particular, depending on what state you're in. Okay, although all terms are not discussed, and they can cover several things which I talk about here in my book, Tenants' Rights, which you can get on lulu.com. And you can also view the videos on YouTube at my channel is Affordable Homes and Apartments. Okay, now I have sample bylaws in here that you can go by. Okay, or you can present to your lawyer for validity. And another thing you would need to apply for would be an employer identification number. Remember, this is a business that you're forming. You're going to need to get incorporated. You're going to need to get your act together so that you can be organized and people will give you respect. And they will say, hey, they know what they're doing, you know? They mean business. They're not kidding around. Employer identification number is obtained from the IRS. This employer identification number is different from your social security number. Now, when you sign for certain documents or when you put your name on a document, particularly for the building to bring it up to code compliance, you're putting the identification number on there. Because then instead of the IRS being able to attack you as an individual going through your social security number, now they have the tax ID number, and if anything goes wrong, now they can attack the association. The association will be responsible for any debts that are incurred. Okay, and I have the information here how you can get your tax identification number. Now also you would need, in addition to the offices of the corporation and your employer identification number, you're also going to need to form a steering committee. Now what is a steering committee? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. A steering committee is a group of individuals responsible for the planning and oversight of the project. Creating a steering committee is the first step right after forming the offices or appointing officers of the Tenants Association and getting organized and adopting your articles of association and getting your tax ID number would be toward the next step towards a successful project planning and cost containment. If you do not have time to create a steering committee, you probably will need to make time to do that. A steering committee is what I call an extension of the offices of the association. Now, more than likely, and hopefully you will have a full-time job or some other responsibility that will take up some of your time. The more people that you have involved in this particular endeavor, the better off you'll be. Remember, everybody is a volunteer, but however, that somebody is expected to get paid. But the goal of the organization is to bring the building up to code compliance. The goal of the organization is not to put money in somebody's pocket. The goal of the organization is to bring the building up to code compliance. Okay, to eliminate any unsafe violations and develop a safe living place. Okay, the next step would be to own the building. Now, once you've taken care of the violations, now we're talking about how the money's going to be distributed. Okay, there will be money in the bank account of the Tenants Association that you're going to open, and the money, not all of it, but some of it should be used for the purposes of renovating the building. Now, you as a Tenants Association can also put on your carpentry outfit and paint some of those walls, put some of that carpet down if you know what you're doing. And then you can get paid for that out of the Tenants Association. But again, I would make it a rule that each one of the officers of the corporation have to agree that that is going to be the case, okay? And that you don't have to hire an outside contractor if you, in fact, want to take part in the building's upbringing and renovation. Yes, you want to oversee its renovation and make sure that it's done the way you want it, okay? Because now you have a chance to say, hey, I want to do this the way I want to do it, and it's going to get done the way we want it done. Now you have control over these things, okay? Now, when you participate in the planning, the steering committee should, like I said, participate in everything. They should monitor the assessment of what's going on. They communicate regularly with the stockholders of the project, develop a project plan that includes risk assessment and overall impact, define the project's objectives, cost containment, public safety, staff safety, reducing. So I would say that the steering committee would be someone, perhaps maybe even from the city, that has knowledge of these topics. Okay, I wouldn't go out and hire anybody because they're going to want to get paid. And you want as much of that money that's in the bank from the Tenants Association to go towards renovating that building. And you want to save because maybe some of y'all might want to get paid. You know what I mean? But you have to do it the correct way. Do it the right way. Okay? Now, officers of the steering committee can consist of, but not limited to, chairpersons, which can be more than one, the building representatives, okay, superintendent, and you have floor captains, and you have gophers. Now, the gophers are usually the ones that run the errands, go get some stamps, so the gopher has to be an active person and with wheels. In the summertime, I suppose you can ride your bike, but I would say that person needs to have some kind of reliable transportation so that they can make the errands for the corporation. And there can be more than one gopher. And I would suggest that you have two of each of these, at least, if not more. When the tenants realize that they are taking part in the active management of their building, now we are going to do something about this building on our own. The landlord is not going to be booted out, and we are going to take over, and we're going to fix this building up the way it's supposed to be fixed. And we're not going to let that landlord come back in here. If he decides he wants to purchase that building, he has a couple of years to do it. But he's going to have to put back all the money that has been spent. Okay? And all the time and the effort. And then to have the landlord come back and only to do the same thing again? I don't think so. Okay, now I'll define the duties and responsibilities of the officers of the steering committee here in my book, Tenants' Rights, which you can get from lulu.com. I talk about the general topics of discussions. And then again, we talked about the guidelines for an effective rent strike. Now, once you form a tenants association, you are going to need to be able to go into a rent strike. Okay, that doesn't mean that rent is not going to get paid. It's just not going to be paid to the landlord. The landlord now has been extradited, or whatever you might call it, from collecting rent. Okay, because you would say that in the past he's been collecting rent, but he's only been taking the money and putting it in his pocket. He has not been fixing up the building. So now the tenants are going to say, we are going on an effective and efficient rent strike. And what you're going to be doing is the rent strike is an organized way of not paying the rent. If you just decide individually that you're not going to pay the rent, then you are going to be the one that's going to be taken to court. But if you decide as a group, not only just the officers of the corporation and the officers of the Tenants Association, but you're going to need 1/3 of the entire body of tenants in the building. So if you have 100 tenants in that building, you're going to need 33, 34 signatures on each one of those petitions. Okay, so you're going to need 33% of the tenants that's going to be willing to go on a rent strike. But you're going to advise each tenant, do not pay your rent to the landlord. But you have to gain trust in these tenants so that they will be confident that when they pay their rent, it's going to be put in an interest-bearing account. And yes, you're going to have a receipt for your money. You're going to say that your money is going to be put in this account for now. We're going to bring this building up to code compliance. Once this building is brought up to code compliance, now we can start from square one. We can recreate leases, be effective on that day. Okay, we can go by income. Now your rent's going to be paid to another source, directly to the Tenants Association. Okay, and that's why you have officers of the Tenants Association. You have treasurers. The treasurer is going to let everybody in the building know where their money is going. You're going to get a receipt, and you're going to build confidence in the rest of the tenants and show them by your actions that this is what's going to take place now. Yes, you're angry. Yes, you're mad, you're pissed off, you're ready to hurt somebody. But you're going to have to do this with a level head. You cannot do it and you're angry. You have to calm down and you have to be able to do this with a level head. So now the rent strike is very important. Now, I said I was a 7-day administrator, okay? But I never lived in the building that I managed. I went around and searched for buildings that needed renovations, and I located them because there were many back in what years? This was back in the 90s, I think, because I had just got my license as a real estate broker in 1996. Black History Month 1996 is my annual celebration month and year. Every year in Black History Month, I celebrate the anniversary of my business, and I'm proud of that. However, let's see. I was a 70 administrator, and I did not manage the buildings that I lived in. I would go out and find other buildings, and I would help those tenants organize. Now, as a 70 administrator, now you're a court-appointed building manager, and that's what you are, in fact. With the city of New York, and I'm from New York, they have now taken active part in selecting the 70 administrators. The judge, the responsibility, which is what I always thought should be the case, when the Tenants Association goes to court, when I, as 70 administrator, bring the tenants to court, um, the judge is the one that says, okay, landlord, you are now removed from active management of the building. And then the city is the one that should have always elected the 70 administrator. But now they do that. You have to provide proof of experience and what have you. So it's a bigger investment, and now um, they're actively involved in it. So when I go to court, sometimes the judge will say, okay, now, okay, the judge is now removed from active management, but then they would have somebody that they know. Okay, I got another building for you. And I would say, wait a minute, I'm the one who organized the tenants. He said, well, you can't live there. I don't live there. I don't live there. And that's when there was so much corruption going on. And I think that after that, the city became terribly actively involved with their hands on. And the only responsibility now that the judge has is to remove the landlord legally from active management of the building. And the next step now is to get appointed as a 70 administrator through the city and only through the city. Because what you were having was a lot of the buildings that were being taken over, that the landlord was being removed from active management. was that, okay, a lot of corruption was going on, a lot of stuff was going on, okay? These 70 administrators would come in there, they would manage this building, but they were doing the same thing that the landlord was doing. They was not managing the building. They was not fixing up the building. They were taking the money and putting it in their pocket. Okay, so now here these tenants, now they gain trust in this other person now, and they're still doing the same thing that they were doing before. So I would always still continually work with the tenants. Even though I wasn't getting paid, I used it as information to go in my book. And I used it as experience, basically, so that I would have experience in my career. Okay, it was like training grounds for me. I didn't mind doing it because this is my career. I love working in real estate. So I would help the tenants and I would advise them in terms of what they needed to do if this particular person wasn't doing their job. Okay, so the 70 administrator can be the president of the Tenants Association or somebody from the steering committee or neither. It could be somebody else in the building. I would always suggest that yes, you get somebody that lives in the building to be the 70 administrator. Okay, um, unless of course you get somebody like myself who's a licensed real estate broker, who has a definite interest in it. You got to screen them like you get screened when you go get a job. When you go get a job, you get screened. So why not screen them? Why not say, hey, we're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions to find out, what your qualifications are. And we're going to double check. We're going to check with the city to see, you're going to have to apply for 7 administrator to them, but we want to talk to you because we want to know if you're the candidate we want to manage this building. So if you decide that you want somebody that's a tenant to come and manage the building, do so. Have someone that lives in the building. This way you know who they are. And they can get fired just like anybody else, but more than one person should take that course. Not just that one person. I think all 3 of you, all of the officers of the corporation should take the course. This way, if this person doesn't do their job as a 7A administrator, then you can take over the 7A administrative responsibilities completely. Or perhaps maybe both of you can be the 7A administrator with the city's permission. Okay? Now, like I said, a 7A administrator is a court-appointed building manager. So when you become a 7A administrator, now you've been appointed by the court to manage the building. Okay, and there's a couple of other things in here that I could talk about. I may talk about them again next week. There are some courses that you need to take. It's just a certificate course. It's not a licensure exam that you have to take. You get a certificate. I think the class is 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. It depends on how long they've extended it. Okay? And I talked to you about my experience as a 7A administrator. Okay, and I also talked, once you now have a 7A administrator and you have brought the building up to code requirements, now you have to manage your building. You have to succeed in property management because that's what you're doing. You're managing the building. That's what it's called, property management. And I love property management. Reasons. Okay, but how to succeed in property management, and I talk about that in detail in my book here, How to Succeed in Property Management. First, you have to assess the need. Okay, you have to assess the need, which is what I do. Then you have to make sure the accounting is taking care of. Okay, then there's maintenance. Okay, if there's any additional maintenance that's required, or maybe you have to go over what was already done because it wasn't done according to the way the city specifications wanted it. Like, for example, you put plastic pipes instead of copper pipes. Okay, that's just one example. Then you realize that the rest of the tenants are people too by communicating with them. Okay, um, then the investment begins to grow. And you might even find yourself as a, uh, you know, as an owner. You may decide you want to go and buy yourself a house and manage that building while you're doing this. Because now you have experience with your own building that you live in. And now you're ready to go out and venture out and work on your own. Okay? Now, if the landlord comes back and he says, I want my building in 2 years, he's going to have to pay. And my suggestion, I'll take him to court and say, no way, you're not coming back here. You're not going to get this building. You put our lifeblood into this building. So I've been talking about my book, Tenants' Rights versus Slumlords, Winning Housing Court. And I pretty much think that I've covered everything that I need to cover in this book. So if you want to get a copy of the book, which I think would really help you in terms of your organizing, your ability to organize and your decision to organize as a Tenants Association and as a steering committee to get that building back up to code compliance. And if you need help, give me a call. I'm available, 716-602-7213. You can email me at sblack3001@gmail.com. Okay, you can get a copy of this book here. Will be your Bible pretty much, and it will help you throughout your every step of your way. You can give me a call. You can email me. You can hit me up on Facebook, Dr. Sylvia Black. Um, and remember, this is going to be on my YouTube channel, which is Affordable Homes and Apartments. My main channel is sblack3001. So if you can't remember Affordable Homes and Apartments, go to sblack3001. Now, I'm not sure which book I'm going to be talking about next week, but we're going to start talking about some more interesting stuff here. I've been talking about this for a while, so I think it's time to get involved in some either non-real estate issues or some other topics of concern. But if you're interested, maybe you might not want to stay in the building that you're living in. You might want to move. If you want to relocate, give me a call. Give me a holler. Email me. Excuse me, sblack3001@gmail.com. Okay, and I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I ask you to join me again next week, right here on Time Warner Public Access TV, Channel 20, Buffalo, New York, where I can be talking about anything, the books that I have written. I can be reading some poetry, or I could come at you from some other topic. I could sing a song, anything. But you never know what I might be coming up with on real estate, religion, and you. And I ask you to join me next week, right here. 6:30 Wednesday, 6:30 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 12:30 to 1. Give us sister a holler. sblack3001@gmail.com. 716-602-7213.